Hear me? Zoomers?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, Gary was just telling us about voting for Artist of the Month here. Gina, you have pictures of the Artist of the Month winner online?
Of the online winner, yes.
And when are you going to show that?
Whenever you tell me.
Oh,
I guess now.
Do that. How about you're on?
So we, the votes are tallied for Artist of the Month online, and our winner was Beverly Bradshaw with, I forgot the name of it, and I can't see it on here. Desert Delight, I believe is the name of it. Sorry, Beverly, did I face the name? I'm nervous. But that's the winner for the online version of Artist of the Month for March. We presented at the April meeting. And then I can give them a quick tour of the ones we have in the room.
Perfect.
Okay. We had 51 votes, so we did end up getting that sorted out.
Just to clarify this a little bit, we are having two separate Artist of the Month little awards. One is for those who enter online, okay? And then we are voting here for the ones that have brought their artwork here. So the Artist of the Month winner online will be getting a little check mailed to them. And the winner for today, after we all vote, we'll award it toward the end of the day. I have the prize with me for the Artist of the Month winner here today. So that's how we're doing that. So Gina, did you say that you're going to give them a tour of these paintings?
Yeah, I'm just showing the supers.
Okay.
I
Oh.
forgot the spotlight. Lori? You spotlight this again? Sorry, Candace, we're being busy for a minute. You can say hi. Everybody say hi. All right, so this one right here. Click that. Yeah. So sorry about the walk, shaky walk. My video. This is picture number 1. Number 2. Sorry, close your eyes for a minute while I walk.
While she's getting this set up, I just would like to comment that I hope everybody will give Gina a great sense of appreciation. This takes a whole lot of doing to make all of this work. And as program chairman, I don't sleep at night wondering how we can coordinate to make it good for you Zoomers as well as for us here. So I appreciate so much what all she's doing, and I want you to know how complicated it is. So thank you, thank you. So you're welcome. All right. Before I start our program for the day, I just want to let you know that a reminder, our May meeting is May 7th, the first Sunday, because Mother's Day is the next weekend, our usual second one. And it is a Zoom only meeting at 1 o'clock. And I don't have the program posted yet, but we're cooking up a little extra different kind of surprise Zoom program that we'll post in a bit. So mark your calendars for seeing us on May 7th. And so,
Is that one?
yes, thank you. We posted it
Hang on.
so that you could all see the date. Okay, and then that will be our last official meeting until September, and the rest of the summer events and plein air and all will go on otherwise. So, okay, very good. All right, should I give the Zoomers a 5-minute little break before we start our official program?
probably a good plan, so they can they'll take a bathroom break.
Okay.
And that'll give me a minute to get situated. That would be great.
All right, let's take just a little 3-minute stretch for you Zoomers and our group here. Okay, we're back, Zoomers. I hope you're back too. And welcome to a program that I'm just going to title Encouragement. What do we belong to this group for anyhow, if it's not to be encouraged about our artwork and ourselves? And when we had our other in-person meeting, we had a paint around, and it's so nice to have something where we interact with each other rather than just sit and watch a lecture or a demo. And so my hope was that we could have a more interactive program among our members here and include you too out there. And so we're going to throw together all the best ideas we all have to offer each other. Okay, so that's the idea. And I certainly did not want this to be like a little lecture about encouragement where one person just, talked. So I hope everybody will participate and speak up, and we'll pass the mic around and have some fun with it, some fun examples, anything that will make it enjoyable and help people remember the ideas that we're sharing. So Zoomers, Gina is going to put up for you your question and your topic, okay? It is not the one these are working on. And so while we're conversing here and getting our group ideas, you look at your topic question and will you please begin sharing your ideas so that when it is your turn, you can present that to the group, okay? So Gina will be taking care of you while we here together spend a minute or two collecting our thoughts. So you all talk amongst yourselves and we'll be right back.
Okay, now can you hear just me? Is that better? Well, we'll have to just wait a minute.
Yes, that works.
Okay.
Yes, that works.
Oh, good, good, good. Okay, I'm gonna put your gallery back on. Thank you for saying that. Okay. So I think the easiest thing is I can hear you and I can repeat the questions if people can't hear. It's going to be a bit noisy for a little bit. So how do you get out of your muddly middle? Any ideas? And if you can type it or you can say it, either one.
Uninspired.
Like for instance, if I'm in a muddly middle, I'll put it away and go for a walk. Something like that.
That's basically what I do is I put it away and think about if I'm going to go back and work on it, because a terrible thing that happens to me is that I will end up overworking something and then it's never can be saved.
Amen to that.
I agree. I like to walk away from it and, do house chores, watch TV, just totally disassociate myself from it and then come back to it later. Because unlike Jean, I'm willing to beat it to death.
I have the same solution. I often take a break and sometimes I put it up on our living room window and stare at it for a while and get my husband's reaction for one thing. Or maybe I'll send it to my daughter and son-in-law.
Yeah. So getting an outside opinion is a good way to do it.
Yeah, right.
Do you ever just throw it away?
And my son-in-law is very free with his comments.
Your son-in-law.
Yes. And I like to crop myself. I like to find a part I do like and then save the special part and just disregard the rest.
That's a good idea.
That's an idea.
Yeah,
I just typed in that I like to photograph it and bring it into Photoshop. Then I'll do it, convert to grayscale, change the contrast, crop it, do all of those kinds of things, play games with it, and always ask my sister's opinion.
uh,
Does everybody have someone? Go ahead.
Taking a photo with your cell phone and looking at it that way on a smaller scale, along with what Joanne said, really helps, because sometimes the bad area just pops out.
that's right.
So the small scale, the different scale gives you a vision of what's working and not working.
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody have a trusted advisor? Several of you have mentioned son-in-laws, daughters, sisters.
Yes.
Husbands,
Some people are shaking their head no.
husbands.
I
Is that a
have,
rec?
I have a small, or I did a small Zoom group nearby, and I will send it out to them and get their reactions. This is
Oh,
what
that's
their
This sounds like-
pastel. Yeah. And also take a picture of it. I think that's a very good idea.
go ahead and unmute yourselves while we're talking. It's fine to be unmuted unless there's a TV playing in your background or something. How about the mirror trick? Anybody use the mirror trick?
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? If you hold it up to a mirror, it looks different. It simplifies the details.
That's-
These are all tricks I know and then I forget to use. How do you remember?
That's right.
Go ahead. I liked Kathleen's idea of a small group that she relies on.
Yeah, they've been very supportive. And we used to meet on a weekly basis, but we sort of got busy, but we're still there.
I have two other artists in Alaska that we all three travel a lot, so we're rarely in the same state at the same time. But what we do is send pictures back and forth by email
Mhm.
and get each other's opinion, or text. We even text a lot when we're in close enough time zones.
I think having a small group like that is a great idea. And I make use of that slightly in a group that I paint with, but I think it would be good for me to broaden that.
And
Oh,
sometimes
Kim, go ahead.
I'm just saying, sometimes I send it to my old pastel instructor, who's a well-known pastelist, and I'll get comments from her.
Yes. I was just going to say, with my little group, I purposefully called them up or saw them and said, hey, I want to do this. Would you do this with me? So that was how I created it. I mean, I went and found them. They were artists I worked with that I knew as friends, but they were also people that I knew had a similar track of where they were headed with their paintings.
Oh, yeah.
Any other ideas? Any weird ideas?
Of course, one can ask oneself, what am I trying to show? What is my story?
I like that. Ask yourself a certain question.
Yes.
When I
Excellent.
like some of the things that Christine put in the chat about maybe if your branches don't look right, going out and taking a nature walk, or going online and looking at how other artists have handled the problem, because sometimes you want that immediate response right then and there to get you where you're going to go or where you're trying to go, and it's hard. And I think this is bringing to mind for me that I should create some kind of little, system to get myself out of that stuck spot.
Yeah. Thank you for noting that in the chat. I forgot they were putting stuff there. Thanks, Jean.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm making notes. Oh, the internet. Yeah, that's another good one. Christine, you're full of good ideas. Other artists can do a search on Google to see how other artists can solve the problem. Not copy it, but just get insight. You just don't want to fall down the Pinterest hole, which I love. I love to fall down the Pinterest hole. I think we are also our own worst critics. And so sometimes if we think something's not working, we need to remember. Michelle Dunaway, I was in a workshop with her one time and she said, you're only competing against yourself. There will always be someone better than you and always someone worse than you. And so you don't want to compare yourself to others, but is your work better today than it was yesterday? For a self-critic like I can be, it was very good advice.
I have a friend who's a potter and very, very self-critical. And he said that when he would pull all of his work out of the kiln and evaluate it, and he would smash all the ones he didn't like. And his wife made him stop and made him put them aside for a period of time, 6 months, not even look at them, and then reevaluate them.
Yeah.
So sometimes that impulse to just rip it up isn't a good one.
Good point.
That's right.
Before destroying. Last year, in fact, it was part of the series that I did that ended up getting one of them in the Fippen. I was doing a cactus piece and I had drawn a little sample that worked. So I did this big one. The big one was not working. And I ultimately ended up cutting it in half and making 2 smaller ones, and those worked. So it gave me the satisfaction of destroying something that wasn't working, but not completely destroying it. Yeah, we have gobs of ideas. Would one of you like to read it or say our thoughts? I think I can make them be able to hear you, or I can do it for you so you can hear them. I wrote them out.
If we could, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we can.
It's just on here. I might be able to put, no,
We haven't been able to hear a comment before.
yeah, I don't have a way of making it go.
We'll have to-
Okay.
You're the relay man, I guess.
Okay, but you guys are in my ear, so if I miss something up, you can say something and I'll hear you, even if they can't hear you.
And you all can just stay in your groups right where you are, because that way we can pass the mic around and hopefully you're close to each other and can hear each other a little bit. So, okay. Zoomers, are you ready? Okay, now let's see what we can do. So our first topic or question is for the group in-house here, having the yellow-green sheet.
Okay,
Okay, and
I'll
if
go.
you'll put their question,
Yes.
their topic up. Okay.
That one?
You do
Encourage? Yep.
Okay, so here we are. It's you and the easel. We do most of our art alone. Okay, so how do you encourage yourself? Okay, and one of the definitions of the word encourage is to inspire with courage, spirit, confidence, or hope. So that's something that we might see how we can put to use. So my group, give us some of your suggestions. How do we encourage ourselves?
Okay, so I'm going to be the spokesperson.
Make sure it's on. I turned one of them off. Is it see a little green light?
No, okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be the spokesperson for the group with the yellow sheets. And this was very easy for us, I think, because we are all enthusiastic and, we just took it one by one. And each of us had our plan as to how we encourage ourselves. And, of course, everybody struggles with different things about how to do their work, but this was a joyful topic for us. So we started with Suzanne, And she talked about putting her favorite paintings on the wall. And when they're on the wall and she can see them, she remembers the joy she felt in making them, both in the process of making them, but also in the end result. And that gives her a big lift and helps her to move on with the work that she's doing at that time, which I think is a great example. Peggy has different process. She likes to get outside. She's a plein air painter, and she's very enthusiastic about working outside. And when she's working outside, she gets that lift from being in nature and, you know, having that fresh air around her and, you know, having different kinds of inspiration around her all the time. That experience of being outdoors, I think, is something that many people can get a lift out of. And, you know, when you're out there, as she says, you have no excuses not to paint. It's just, you need to move forward. You're looking at the sunlight moving, for example, so you better get it down while you can. And that's a really great thing. So,
Good.
with Nori, she felt at one time a little bit stuck by working from photos, and she also found out that by going outdoors and in fact joining a plein air group made a big difference for her in moving forward. And as a rock climber, you know, she relates to being outdoors in a very different way. She might have a very physical feeling about being outdoors, remembering the texture of the rocks and the feel of the temperature changes when you're climbing rocks, etc. And that can give her a whole nother perspective on how she's doing her work. So I think that's also a really great example. Then, of course, and for me, I use the technique of going back away from my portraits. I'm doing portraits all the time, and going back away from my portraits to look at skyscapes and maybe go outside and stare at the sky, look up, you know, and look at the forms. And then I'll do some skyscape sketches to cleanse my energy. And it becomes very abstract for me and with very intense colors, because we're in Arizona, and in Arizona you have the most fantastic skyscapes in the world, in my opinion, and everything is beautifully abstracted for you from the get-go. And I use that in between my portraits in order to then get back to focus on my portraits and feel that joy in painting. So that's my technique. Yes. So, and then we had something about how do we get discouraged?
How do we?
How do we discourage
How do we kind of unintentionally discourage ourselves?
unintentionally discourage ourselves by not having a good setup for plein air was a good answer. Yeah, having the wrong setup for plein air, or not listening to our bodies when we're doing it. That's one way to discourage ourselves. Certainly, you know, overworking something and not knowing when to take a break. That can be another thing. Doing plein air painting where you're standing in an ant colony hill was also talked about regarding discouraging ourselves. So I think that's our immediate contribution.
Thank you very much. How about Zoomers?
Oh,
Do any of you out there have a thought on ways that you encourage yourselves? Anybody like to add? You monitor.
Yeah. You mean for the muscle?
I find that I get,
Talking to this subject on encouragement.
Anybody else here have a comment you'd like to add about encouraging ourselves? Okay,
Yesterday,
I'd like
Laura said.
Yesterday, I went out and took pictures of wildflowers and I felt totally encouraged. They're really blooming right now.
So Laura said yesterday she went out and took pictures of wildflowers because they're blooming like crazy and felt very encouraged.
I would like to add something that I've said a lot in a bunch of the classes that I teach, and that is that, and it comes from my experience because I was trying to make a living doing portraiture, you know, when I wasn't very good and I was just getting started and it was just me and I was alone at home trying to keep myself going. And a couple of things helped. One of them was I kept a scrapbook, and on it I put little nice comments people sent me, or my first little brochure, you know, and then later I'd look back, I go, oh brother, that was kind of pitiful, but look how far I've come, you know, and that old scrapbook served me for years and kind of kept me going on my own. It helped a lot. And another little thought I have, when I wrote that line about how do we discourage ourselves unintentionally, it is amazing to me when I teach classes or so, how many people negative talk to themselves, including me. Now, how many times does negative talk about your art or you as an artist come into your thinking? Okay, should be better than this. Why am I doing this? This is a struggle or whatever. And I should be better by now. Okay, and so try to catch yourself when you realize what you're doing and try to turn that negative talk around into something positive. Like, instead of why am I not better at this by now? Okay, then you go back to, well, look how far I've come. Look at what my first ones were like, or that one. Look how much I've progressed. And remind yourself that you don't climb to the top of a ladder by going up 2 steps and then jumping to the top, you know. And so don't allow that ever-changing horizon to overpower you when you realize how much farther up the ladder that you've come. So anyhow, okay, Zoomers, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, let's go to the other group here who has an orange paper. And the topic is, you're in the doldrums.
Christine made that comment. I missed it.
Oh,
About encouragement, if you want it.
okay. Gina has a comment that someone put on chat about encouragement. Would
Yeah,
you-
those in the room, you can see it there at the bottom, but Christine Dabrowski was saying with encouragement, sometimes not painting and doing something else that I enjoy helps me to become newly energized. So I thought that was good.
Yeah. Okay, so now we'll go on to our next topic, and that is, not yet, go back to, there you go. No, it's this one.
Oh, doldrums.
And
Here's doldrums.
no, don't have it?
I don't.
Well, I'll read it.
Yeah, read it for me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It is. Uh-oh, you have fallen in the doldrum. Your creative muse is nowhere to be found. It has left town. You are uninspired, unmotivated, and you haven't picked up your pastels for months. Okay. How do you get yourself out of these doldrums and get going? So let's pass the mic.
I have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Do I push the button here?
It just has to have the green light. You don't have to push anything, as long as the green light's on.
And you all can meet Jim, who was just awarded the People's Choice Award
Well,
at
thank you.
Open Show.
So we discussed various things. For Judy, she has an issue with her arrangement of a studio, and that it gets so darn hot, and we're working on getting a very conducive studio for her to work in.
Put your mic, put it on your t-shirt, and we
Okay.
can hear you better.
Okay. I brought up the thing that helps me in when I'm having issues and having the doldrums, in that I get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and I do listen to the music and I just start drawing. And I draw non-objective squares, not rectangles, and there's a reason for that. I've limited one of the variables by doing squares and doing non-objective drawings as creating a composition that is going to become a harmonious whole, that from that abstract, non-objective piece that I'm working on, hopefully I can look into it and actually see something realistic to look at. And that is the stepping stone for me to take off and maybe create a piece of work. There's other using different medium to maybe put the pastels aside for a while and maybe start doing some oil painting. I think that's about
And
your,
I really nature inspired myself.
yes.
That especially like
Just talk into it like a little microphone.
nature inspires me, especially right now, like someone said, the wildflowers are just all over the place. And I do a lot of driving, and so if I see something really spectacular, I stop and, take a photo of it. Or cloud formations and things like that. Anybody else want to say anything?
Anybody else would like to add anything about getting yourself out of the doldrums? Okay, I would like to add a couple, okay? One of them is clean up your studio. Clean the thing up and organize it until it shines and you want to be in there. Okay, get your materials out. What good are they going to do to inspire you if they're locked up in the cupboard? Okay, and leave them out. Even if you have to set up a card table somewhere, get your materials out where you can leave them out, so that just for those few little minutes that you have, you might be inspired to work. Go buy some new art materials. That's all. Everybody loves to go buy some new art materials, and that might make you want to get started. And once again, from my experience, when I was trying to make a living doing portraits, and I was either uninspired by the one I needed to do, or I was just worn out, but I had to pay the house payment. So I found that if I could just get myself in front of my easel, put my feet there, turn off the phone, turn on some music, get a cup of coffee, okay? And I used to put up a little paper and I would doodle. And I found that if I could just do that for a few minutes, I could slip into that mode of wanting to work again. And that saved me, I think, just knowing that I could kind of force myself to do that. Another little thing about getting out of the doldrums. Sometimes I find that my portrait students in particular, they'll say, oh, but I want to do that portrait of my 5 grandchildren together, but I just don't get started. And is that a way to put you in the doldrums? Okay, so if you're stuck in the doldrums, do some small projects, small things, 20-minute quickies, anything that's small and easily accomplished. And then hopefully that'll get your juices flowing and you'll get out of the doldrums. So want to ask the Zoomers if any of them have a comment for that?
Yeah, anything from the Zoomers, we can hear you and I can repeat it for you.
I was just going to say exactly what Dodie said. I mean, yes, and don't expect a masterpiece. Just like let it go.
Excellent. So she was, Joanna was echoing what Dodie said and said, don't expect a masterpiece, just let it go.
Okay. And to kind of wrap up,
There you are.
you can go back to that blue quote
Okay.
now, if you
You
would.
want us to do ours?
Hmm?
You want the Zoomers?
Not yet. Just put up this
That one, you got it.
to kind of wrap up being in the doldrums. Okay. I found this little quote I just love. It is by another type of artist. It's by a writer named Isabel Allende. And the little, oh, there you go. You can read it. So take one and pass it around. So, there you go. So
So Zoomers, you can take a screenshot of that.
with their phone,
With
they
your
have
phone.
to. I was thinking that since I can take it off the recording, if you think you would enjoy it, I could maybe compile the notes that we had from this and maybe put it all in the next newsletter or such. So, okay, hang on, Zoomers, we'll get to you in a minute, but we're still in the encouragement mode. So we're going to our third group, okay? The topic being, how do we encourage each other? And you can put that one up, Gina. And where did the other mic go? Me.
Right here.
Okay. Here you go.
Yeah, you might stand up. And we'll be hikers. Okay, we're gonna do a little skit.
Oh, they're cooking up something.
It was easier than talk.
Before you start, let us get the camera in position.
Okay. Where are you plein air painting?
So this is my easel.
Hold on.
Wait,
I'm just gonna come film you.
Good
It'll
idea.
be that much easier.
No, I'm good. They can hear me. This is my easel. I'm outdoor painting as Peggy mentioned. And one of the things that we talked about was how somewhat isolated people were during COVID. Okay. How some people were isolated during COVID. And one of the things that we found plein air painting was, even though we could distance ourselves by 20 or 30 feet, people would come up and talk to us. And one of the things that happens is sometimes you find someone, and it could be someone in this group, that comes up and says,
oh boy, it's such a pretty day, isn't it, Kendra? It's so fun to hike around the desert. What's this? Hey. Look at this. It's an artist.
What are you
"Oh, I'm
painting?
pretending to be."
Painting with?
Oh, I'm doing pastels today. And would you like to try it? And here's the pastel stick.
Oh, sure. I'd love to. Okay, I can work right on your painting?
Yes. I won't copyright it.
Oh, do you sell this too?
Yes.
Is it for sale?
Yes, I
Wow.
have my square with me.
Where can I learn how to do what
Well,
you're doing?
If you join the APAA, you can learn to do this.
Can't wait.
Yes, we do.
Where is it?
Here's the information. We have the brochure or the website.
Good.
So one of the things that we talked about was eliminating risk for people. So if people join the APAA, the sentence here is we have demos, workshops, all these things. But one of the things that happens is that people come into these, and if they're first time pastelists, they're a little bit nervous about making a mistake or doing the wrong thing. And the thing that we can do is encourage them to just try. You know, all of us have done paintings that, well, I don't know about all of you, but I know I have done a painting that I've just ripped up and thrown away because that's what it was worth. And you just have to do that. The more you paint, the more you learn, the better you get. So. to ask someone for help. So if you live close to someone and you can find out regionally where other people live, just say, hey, can I come over and show you a painting? Can we paint together? You know, can you give me some tips? Just sometimes that interaction is enough to get you started.
Great. Okay, Zoomers, as soon as Gina gets back here, she gets her exercise today. We're going to put up the Zoomers question, okay? And you all can read the question that they had. And we wish we had a little better sound that we could hear all their voices, which we can't hear very well here. So Gina's going to be the middleman. So you can read the question first, and then Gina, I'll let you moderate.
All right, sure thing. Zoom share, sorry. It gets, I will get smooth at this. I promise, guys, I will. I'll get to where I can do this really easily. The day is coming.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so this was our question. How do you get out of the muddly middle? Basically, is what we were saying. And they were, the Zoomers, there's about, I don't remember how many I counted, but I don't remember how many are on today. They were full of some great ideas. And I can hear them here. So Zoomers, if you have something to add, or if I mess up, just speak up and I'll repeat what you say. So they were suggesting that you take your painting that you're muddling and put it away. Take a break from it. Go for a walk. Do anything. And one, Christine wrote, you can't see it on there, but she wrote on the thing, on the chat, that you could do something else, do something non-painting. I think I mentioned that one already, but she also said you could research a part that you're having trouble with. Yeah, the tree looks like a blob instead of a tree. Take a walk, look at the twigs, gather some research, then come back and paint on it again. Get an outside opinion. Several people had at least one, if not several people that they relied on to give them honest opinions about their work. And that ranged from everything from a son-in-law who was very honest to a small Zoom group that they had kind of put together. And to another one was a texting group that they would text each other. And most of the artists had gone and found those people and said, would you be my muse? You know, would you be the person to look at it and give me an honest opinion? We talked about throwing it away, but generally the idea was don't throw it away. Put it away for a while, come back, put it in a different room. One artist put it on an easel and left it in the middle of the house. So they walked past it a bunch and got different perspectives. Take a photo of it with your phone, looking at it on a small scale, change it on your phone to black and white, help them evaluate to the grayscale so they could evaluate values. You can stick it in Photoshop and do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. You can, what's it called when you posterize it and see what's working and what's not with the values. You can add red, just do different things with it. One person talked about asking different questions. What am I trying to show? What am I trying to say with this painting? What question you ask could change everything. Work on more than one piece at a time. So if you absolutely hate this cactus you're working on, you can turn and work on the bobcat for a while. Put it aside before destroying, doing the mirror trick, looking at it through a mirror. Also, if you turn around and look at the mirror with the painting behind you, that changes your angle. I think that was it. Oh, and cropping, but I think we're going to talk about that in detail.
And what?
Cropping. And we talked about even ripping it in half and turning it into two paintings.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Zoomers. Thank you very much. And we're going to need 1 minute for Liz to just set up and arrange what she's going to show us. And so you can all stretch for just a minute and don't go away though. You're going to enjoy this part. Yes, Gary, you want to award that?
Oh, hang on, Gary.
We're going to award
Chase
the
you down
Artist
with
of the
this
Month
again.
here.
Just put it on your shirt.
Okay, I'll just hold it.
It's fine.
Okay, so there were 4 paintings and 2 of them were neck and neck for the top. number 1 and number 3 were close, but number 1 edged out number 3 by 1 vote. So number 1 is Peggy's.
For you Zoomers who are out there while Liz is finishing setting up her demo for us. For those of you who don't know Liz, I'm going to give her a plug. This is Liz Kenyon, who has been a wonderful help to me planning programs. She's just marvelous to run ideas by with me. She teaches at the Scottsdale Artist School. And once I get her one little idea, I can be very sure that that little idea will become this idea. So she's a real asset to our club and very generous with her sharing, and we appreciate her.
I need to step out of the view and get my notes, which are.
Go right ahead. So, we're glad you've stayed with us, Zoomers. I know it's been a little bit of a 3-ring circus today, but I hope that it's been fun. So
Do you want to keep talking? We're going to begin with reading a quote. So I want everybody to close their eyes.
Billy, we need your microphone. I need it.
Where are we gonna do this?
Okay,
I'll
everyone-
begin with a quote. Pablo Picasso. I work on a painting until I completely destroy it. Is then I begin to create.
All these bells and whistles. So is there a little bit of Pablo in you? Is there a little bit of passion in you? Isn't that what encouragement is about? So I'd like to know why we keep our artwork around, paintings that aren't sold. Is it because they're framed? Is it because it's a picture of somebody that you know, a relative, family member that you can't bear to part with? Or is it something that you just enjoy looking at? You put it on the wall and it makes your life better. I mean, that's why people buy art. I always wonder, I had a collector, believe it or not, when you've been in this business a long time, you get collectors. And she emailed me and she said, I'm just enjoying these 2 paintings that I bought from you. And she's bought 8 of them, but there were 2 that were her favorites. And she said, I was just thinking about you. That's all. And I just thought, well, I did that, you know, and it affected someone's life. And I always wonder why people buy a painting and they keep it for a whole lifetime. It's like getting a job and staying in that job their whole lifetime. And isn't that amazing how much effect you have on other people's lives, that you can affect the way that they live? That has nothing to do with why I'm giving this presentation. Oh, crap. I get distracted. So let's start with an image of cropping.
Okay, 10 seconds, guys. I know it's wrong and I just gotta get to it. Go to the window, somehow it closed.
This always happens to me.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Bless your heart, Lynn. Liz, I'm so sorry.
I'm kidding.
I have it right here. It's just a matter of clicking all the fun clicks.
Okay, as artists, couple things to keep in mind when you are planning and framing your work. And that is, I know it's really fun to put a picture of your furry friend in and make a painting of it, but to really tell a story, tell more about your furry friend and what his passion was, or her passion was, not include the activity that excited your friend. And in this case, it's always going to be a ball or a rabbit or food. So next, in cropping photos of figures, individuals, a lot of times it's easy. We don't filter out the things that do not apply to the subject matter. So what's the subject matter in this picture? The person. So whenever I see balloons, it always distracts me in a picture, and I go, what is this about? A party? Is this a child's game? What is going on? So, and it's also a pretty strong color. So it's a tangent for the eye, the viewer. So look at your pictures before you frame them and see if you can simplify what is the focus of the picture. And if it isn't really helping it, cut it out. Okay, next. Let's see.
Won't you move? There we go. Sorry. There we go.
Okay. This, as a teacher, I see this all the time. It's the floating head within the format of your painting. A lot of times people don't come in close enough to the head. In this case, it really helps to focus on the eyes of the child. Before, with all the stuff going around in the environment, the eyes were not as important. In this case, she's got a little snarky attitude there that the viewer needs to see. It's important to hone in, zoom in on what is the most important thing. And you have to sometimes be ruthless in this case. Okay, next. This is a group of croppings by a famous or a published landscape artist. And his name is Bob Rahm. He also does figurative too. In this book, Painterly Approach, he has lots of really constructive tips on helping you with landscapes. I like the way it's really clear how he frames different ways of presenting his subject. And he does it in a way that encourages simplicity, balance, and the rule of thirds. You all familiar with the rule of thirds? Where you can break your format up into thirds, like a tic-tac-toe box grid. And I particularly like the way he focuses on the scale. And that's more important to me than seeing all the peripheral stuff. Now, I don't know if in this case, he probably cut off a painting to get that bottom shot. I think you would have to plan ahead to create something like that. Gary, do you ever totally eliminate the sky? Sometimes. Yeah. Make an impression, making a point. Okay, let's look at some of the ways that a person could do this. I use these all the time. And I've got different sizes and shapes. And what they are matte old mat boards that maybe from a painting that I eliminated. And you cut the mat off at the ends. I don't know how to describe that. Take one and cut it out and then cut the other one. It's like a puzzle. And you put it together and you can make a little skinny window. You can try a big window. And I use them all the time. I like, my favorites are the big fat ones. And then for my classes, I use these little mat boards that I get at the art store. And you can get those in frame sizes. So a lot of times I will give them to my students for free and just say, crop out what you think is most important in this photo reference and then paint that. So very handy tools. Okay, next.
You go back to sharing your screen.
We are going to talk about enhancing your painting. And this is something that people ask me all the time, and they say, well, I'm really attracted to your colors. How do you do that? And I'm aware that I don't want to overdo something. I don't want to make something look like Candyland, but just to be colorful. So here I started with a really monochromatic scene in Tucson of a wash that happened to go under this footbridge. And there really was zero color, 0, 0, 0. It was just beige. Everything was beige. And the bridge, I think, was a darker beige. So there was something about it that really intrigued me. So I made a Xerox of the photo, and I took a big felt pen and sort of roughed out, outlined the shapes that I liked. And that was a great way to help me identify the simplicity, start simplifying. Then you show the next. Then I started enhancing. And I did three versions of the same scene. And I sold the first one right away. And it was pretty timid. I was pretty safe. And then the next one, I just said, oh, crop it, or I'm just going to go for it. And it shows some passion. And so here I experimented with color and I enhanced it in other ways. So I want you to tell me the first person who comes up with 3 ways that I enhanced that original photo. Can you double screen it by any chance?
Do you remember what you clicked when you did that?
It was a happy
Okay, I
accident.
might be able to figure it out, but keep talking.
Okay, well, Gary.
Warm path and cool shadows on the side.
Warm path, cool shadows. You caught the cool shadows. Good for you. And what else?
Up the contrast.
Oh, he gets
Oh,
one
I'm
more
sorry.
chance. Got another one?
I like the brighter red.
Right in the middle. Okay, you get a prize.
Up the contrast levels from the value range.
You up the contrast. Okay, yeah, because it was more monochromatic in the beginning. I mean, there were values, but it was not very decisive. Anybody else see anything different?
You added rocks.
Rocks. I added lots of rocks. I made the whole section like a weight. What I tried to do is create some weight.
Oh, sorry.
And so that was it.
There we go.
Anyway, so Gary gets a prize. Dodie gets a prize. We're getting prizes, right? We say we're getting prizes today.
Yes, I can give Gary a prize.
Okay, Gary gets a prize. Okay, yeah. That was great. Okay, thanks. Now, another thing that I do to enhance my experience, I'm all for experience. I mean, if you're not having a good time, then, you know how it goes. What's the rest of that saying? Why do it? Yeah, I'll keep that G-rated. Why do it? So in order to enjoy my experience as an artist, I look for ways to express follow my curiosity. Curious about things. I get up in the morning, I walk out in the kitchen, and I look out my window, and everything is gray. It's all pale green, gray. And then about a half hour later, the sun comes up, the distant sun. And all of a sudden, I've got sparkles and I've got oranges and yellows and all kinds of really beautiful highlights showing up in my front patio. And gee, I just love to can that. And so I made a box. And as children, anybody here ever play dollhouse? Have a dollhouse? They played in, all the girls. I don't know, Jerry. How about Lincoln Logs? Did you have a gas station? A gas station. Remember, you used to get for Christmas in the 50s, 60s, little scenarios like gas stations and, stores, whatever. Okay, so it seemed logical to create a box similar to a gas station, a dollhouse, Lincoln Logs, whatever. But why would I do that? Because I was inspired, not by the light on my patio, but by another artist and named Vermeer, Johannes. Is it Johannes Vermeer? Famous artist. And did y'all see the movie, The Pearl Earring? And it showed this, there's a window over here and the light would come through that window and shine on this area over here in the room, just a small room. And I was just struck with the highlights. Isn't there a word that they use? Chiaroscuro? Chiaroscuro. Thank you. And so I would like to repeat that word, repeat that effect. And so how to do it? Well, I created my own little room and put a window in it, and then placed this jug right here inside of it, and I put a light. You got to have the sun or a light. Where I live, now look inside the box. You see something in there getting a little more interesting. Yeah, I just happened to stick this birdie in there. It's hard to find good birds, by the way. Used in the olden days, they used to make them out of little feathers, but not so much anymore. So then I thought, well, can I make a stage set? Can I do more here? So the answer was yes. And I came up with what you saw advertised for today. I used, now don't do as I do, but I used calendar cover by Claude Monet that was filled with flowers. It was a floral scene and a path. And I stuck it in the back of this box in order to get this, and I put the bird in the jar. And the jar is just a vintage Purex jar. I mean, it has no meaning, right? There's no association, but if I wanted to, I could make it a story, like the dog with the ball. So I decided to try different things. Here's cactus. That's kind of pretty, colorful. And the way I got this lighting was inside the box. I could put different color papers. And by putting a different color paper in there, like here would be a yellow one. What is it? Does it change anything? It might. I think I had more red at the time. Yeah, I can see in the jug up here in this poster, you can see I had red. And that red creates sort of an envelope, so to speak, of color and mood. So in this one, it's pretty warm. It also was at 9 in the morning outside in the sun. This time of year is just optimum for shooting outdoor still lifes like this around 9 o'clock in the morning.
But you have that in the box outside.
Right, and the sun just shined in like a light like this. But I couldn't do that today. So then I decided to, well, what if I, because of the copyright rules, can't use calendars, can't use anybody else's artwork. I just wanted to stay within the legal limitations. And so I took a photo of my own artwork and printed it out in my printer in cardboard and stuck that in the back of my box and then put the bird. And then I have to paint this again. I don't know if I want to do that. So I would use, and what I did, next slide. So what I did was,
This one?
no, that's a picture of the box. That's a picture of the box.
Yeah.
Keep going, that one.
All right.
So what I did is created my own artwork to go specifically behind this bottle with the bird. Now I'm going to paint that again, only with the bird and the bottle in it. Or I may put something else instead of a bottle, and I may put something else besides a bird. So it's up to me, but it's all my stuff. So I can do whatever I want. So today, for 10 minutes, you want to take a turn practicing putting in different backgrounds. This is a vase, simple vase with a couple of flowers that I just happen to have. These are calendars, pictures that I just cut out and stuck. This is just a 13 by 9-inch box. You can get it any dumpster. Just let it sit in the sun a little bit to make sure there's no eggs of any kind in it. So you can experiment with all kinds of things like patterns, clothing. This was a shirt that I put behind it. And now I don't know if they would follow me, down the copyright trail to determine where that shirt came from, but it's all good. So today you can take 10 minutes and come up and play. And I want people to see you do it. Any volunteers come in and try different backgrounds and see how they look? Okay. Okay. So you can choose from,
This one.
okay, that's pretty dramatic.
It's pretty dramatic.
Okay, so
So do I put it in the back? Or
you
like right there?
push that in the back,
Push it in the back.
push it in the back.
Okay,
And if it wants to bend over,
just let it.
No, I'll just roll out a little piece of tape. if You need it? Okay, so what do you got? Oh, that's pretty pretty. So what do you want to put in there? Do you want a birdie in a bottle or? Yes, you can have the flowers.
How about that, you guys?
How does that look? Well, you have to put that on something.
How about the apple?
Oh, the apple.
How about this?
Okay. Well, let's see how it looks. Here comes the camera. So you would come up with your iPhone and sit in front of that. And your timing is limited because it's hot outside now.
Should I take a picture of it for you?
Okay, so I can turn this box or you want to look?
Oh. That's a better angle.
Yeah, that's good.
Hold on. And then I'll get out of the way so they can see.
Then can you crop it? I guess you can't
And later.
later. Okay, so the idea is got to get straight in there.
Let me take it.
Okay, here it comes,
There you go.
straight in there. And then imagine cropping that. So you don't see the sides, all you see is the background.
Going a little farther then?
Yeah, just
Okay.
stick it right in there. Oh, even closer, even closer.
That blue bottle is not working. Take,
It's not.
take that out.
Take out the blue bottle.
Oh.
Nope. Sometimes it gets crowded in there. Once I piled a whole bunch of,
You see what I'm doing it for?
yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's-
So you have to use your imagination and play with it. The light should be more dramatic. See how I got a real sharp edge there?
Move
You,
the light-
what?
move the light closer.
Move the light closer.
Sharpens the edges.
I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. That's better. Getting better. There, it's getting better, better, better. Well, you're still not getting any tips. You want some highlight tips? Yeah, no, I mean, you want to create.
I'm sorry to make you guys dizzy. Don't mean to do that.
That's all right. I just keep looking at my butt in the camera. Sorry.
What's that?
I don't know. Oh, okay. There, we're starting to get some. And then you would crop it up so you don't see the can.
Even more, right?
Well, you could try another object other than the flowers. Let's try, look, let's try the blue bottle with bowling ball, with the pool ball. That gives you a,
Now, if you made that hole on the side smaller, would it sharpen the light?
no,
No.
nope.
Chris, when you make these, you do your work by looking at the box or taking a photo of it. Or you don't have to tell us you don't want to.
And see what she's doing, what Gina's doing, because she comes in and real, and then I put it on my computer and I crop it. Or I crop it on the phone and then upload that onto my computer. So you then, if I want to enhance it further, I can do it on the computer or on my phone. The idea is that you want to get this feeling of drama and tell a story. And you can do it with all kinds of objects. Who knows what you have in around your studio. And so it's a fun thing to try, but use your own work if you can. Well, you can. All right, anybody else want to try?
Go for it, it's fun.
Okay, let's wrap it up. So what's in your box?